Hi guys, KO here. Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila, where we are working to inspire positive, radical social evolution. I'm so excited today. I'm welcoming my longtime friend, the Ashley Simone Knight, back to the Turmeric and Tequila microphone to do our annual year in review. We are adding a remix though this year. We're going to recap 2021 a little bit, and then we're going to do a 2022 year in preview with mission statements, I am statements, goals, intentions, and I will submit a worksheet out there when this cast comes out so you can join us in this. Ashley's amazing, a thriving professional, longtime entrepreneur, an all-around varsity human. Lean into the vulnerability and pro tips in life that we have learned from, are intending to do in 2022, and all the goodness that can come in this new year. Have a great rest of the day. Download us wherever you get your podcasts and check us out on YouTube for all the video. Cheers.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I'm so excited. I know I say that every time, but gosh darn it, it is the truth. I have our pseudo co-host, Ashley Knight, back in the studio. We are doing our annual year in review, but we are remixing it this year, and we're going to do a little bit of a year in review for 2020, and then we're going to do a year in preview for 2021 with an overriding theme of personal responsibility. We're coming off two majorly divisive years. Like, we're super divided on all levels around health and wellness and COVID and politically and social and racial justice. I mean, there's so many things that are dividing us. So we're bringing it back to ourselves, and this is going to be the year of personal responsibility. So without further ado, Ashley, welcome back to the mic.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to be back. I missed you.
It's been way too long. What was the last podcast we did? Last year's review?
Don't remember. Maybe last year's review, just because, last year, we'll get into it, but had a lot going on.
All right. Well, first things first, let's toast.
Yes.
Cheers to us, obviously. And 2022, I'm optimistic right off the bat. How are you feeling about this year?
I feel good about this year. I'm actually really happy. So I'm ready to get it cracking.
That's what's up. Cheers.
Cheers.
Pro tip, if you ever get a mini bottle of champagne, and you already know I was going to drink straight from the bottle, but we're classing it up in 2022.
A little, not too much now.
Yeah, but this one didn't have a cork that you pop off like traditional champagne, and it was like a bottle opener version, like a beer. And you know what? I'm not a huge beer drinker, so I had to run all the way back inside, undo it. So if you have mini bottles, bring a bottle opener with you just in case, so you're not stuck in having.
I'm just glad you had a bottle opener.
I know. Well, I do in the house. You know, my entire family is like a beer drinking squad. So
that's true. That's true. There's a beer opener on my wine bottle opener. Okay. And that's
exactly
it. That's it. Otherwise, everybody else is SOL, or I don't know, bring a keychain. Who knows?
You just smash the top off. Yeah.
I don't know, hit it on my countertops, figure it out.
Exactly. Well, so if anybody, which this is ludicrous if it's true, but if they have not heard us on a podcast before, why don't you give a little introduction on yourself, your vibe, your businesses, all the glory that you have going on?
Oh, man. Okay. So for those who do not know me, I'm Ashley Knight, Denver native, lived in Denver, stayed in Denver my entire life. Business-wise, I work for a pharmacy on the corporate end. I also own my own business as an esthetician. I've been a licensed esthetician in the state of Colorado it will be 9 years this year. I can't believe I'm saying that. Yes. Wow. 9 years. So next year it will be a decade.
Gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. How old? Wait, when did we first meet? Was that 2017?
2018. We met.
Okay. Gosh. Okay. So 4 years ago.
Yeah. And even that, I'm like, wow, I can't, the time that we've known each other is flown.
Yeah.
Flown by. I feel like it's just been a year, like a long, fun year.
Yeah. But I feel like I've known you longer than, when I say 4 years, I can't believe since I've known you, it's gone by that fast. But I've also been like, we've been friends since high school, forever.
Yeah. But we just have that energy, that rapport with each other. And we've discussed this in prior, podcasts, but as soon as we met each other, it was just like, oh yeah, no, we friends now.
We just started talking and never stopped.
Never stopped. Never. And here we are today, still talking.
Well, so we know 2020 was a hot mess. And I think kind of in all the most brutal ways, it was such an amazing, and hear me out, disruption point and pivot point for us to start moving in the right direction.
Yep.
And I know many people will agree or disagree with me because here we are in this world and society, and that's kind of the theme going on, is just disagreeing. But really, I think we hit like such walls around questioning a better way, understanding things, obviously like social racial justice, our government, then the pandemic took off, so many things. So we're kind of, I still think we're in the midst of the mess, but we are moving in the right directions. Maybe as a blind champagne drinking eternal optimist, that is my positioning, and we'll cling to that. But I really, let's jump in with 2021 coming off kind of 2022, the hot mess. Why don't we cover a couple events? Did you make a list for 2021?
Oh God. To be very honest, I was too afraid to look back. I was like, I don't know. I guess my favorite part of 2021, and not even to like get political because I'm still, but the inauguration was beautiful.
That was a big deal.
My favorite part of the inauguration was seeing Bernie.
The mittens. Paula will appreciate that.
You know it was cold. You know it was freezing in DC.
Facts. Well, I mean, we were coming off. I literally just screenshot. Usually, if you want to listen to our other year interviews, we go through the full year and we kind of break down each event, and it takes us usually a couple hours. But this, I literally just want to like touch on a few big things, and then we'll move in right into our year into preview, which is kind of like Ashley and I evaluating ourselves, our own personal goals. And I'm going to put up like the outline we used in case you want to do this for you. Which I think it's really simple, and it's a really good reflection point. You don't have to share it with anyone. We're going to share ours. But let's just touch on a couple of these things. When I looked up the list, I mean, literally it's like 6 things. The first thing that popped was obviously the insurrection on January 6th, but which I think was before the inauguration. So before things were going crazy, and we won't get political on this, you know, Ashley will stand. But I remember sitting there thinking like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, the most quote unquote powerful country in the world. And I am a patriot. I'm here for America. We have to grow up on a lot of levels, but I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah. So to be very honest, like I laughed the entire time. Yes. And here is why. Like, you know, we went through all of 2020 and we had all of this discourse and tension of people saying like, ooh, people are ruining, you know, mom and pop shops and lighting stuff on fire. And there's all this violence. And why can't you protest peacefully? And then fast forward to January 6th, where there's a whole insurrection. And nobody has anything to say about how ridiculous that was, how disgusting that was, especially if like these people who are like, ooh, America, like, okay, well, these people who claim to be ooh, America are literally destroying our nation's property and threatening like Congresswomen and men. Like, what is wrong with you? So, and then on top of that, what does that drive home? What kind of idea does that drive home? Like, oh, okay, so I didn't get the result in the election that I wanted. So I'm going to what? You're going to what? Break into the nation's capital? Are you nuts? So I thought it was funny because it was like, so what do you have to say now? What do we have to say now? And on top of that, we, as Americans, we keep embarrassing ourselves. So it's just like, oh, we're already here. Whatever.
Yeah. I think it's kind of just like privilege in general. Like, what is? I'm just going to do what I want. Like the rest of the world needs to look out for the superpower and whatnot. My thing is, I tried to just look at it. I mean, again, you probably know how I feel. I thought it was ludicrous and like there's such larger conversation and truly unbelievable. But I was just reaffirmed in my passion around points of influence, because anytime you see like a hurt puppy, because you know dogs are my world, or a kiddo that acts a certain way, you kind of go the step before that. Well, it's the parents, it's the dog owner, it's a trainer. Sure. Where are these people coming from that think this is a mature way to react? And even, you know, as you're approaching a problem, you know, it's always good practice to be like, okay, before I get into this or before I react, what is my desired result? Like, but if you're going to go, you take over the Capitol, what, I mean, do you think you're going to take over it? What? Yeah. And everyone's like, you right. You be the president, guy with a big, huge horn hat on. Like,
yeah, like, excuse me?
Regardless of what side you sit on, you know that that's not a way to react and address anything. Like a bar fight's not an answer. Violence really isn't the answer until talking's not doing it. And That's a whole other podcast.
And and that's a whole other podcast. But like, if people like, you got to keep that same energy. If you're going to be like, no, like, okay, we'll keep that same energy for those people that they're criminals, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and I think hear me out here again, that when you're around when you surround yourself around certain people, Democrat, Republican, someone in between, whatever, I think it's so quick that you can lose that base of consciousness and self-restraint and awareness to be like, they're all doing it. Let's go. Like, this isn't a bad idea. Everyone else is doing it. Let's go in. And so it's just kind of more of like a good check-in point, overarching theme of personal responsibility. Like, who am I around? And is this truly what I believe? I think a lot of people after that was over, they pulled back and were like, people died in this. We didn't get what we wanted. Literally,
people died.
Yeah.
People died. And like, people, like, everybody has a family and everybody's tied to somebody else. So think, like, because of January 6th, people lost people in their lives. Like, is that worth it to you for throwing a fit, for not getting what you want?
Right.
So, and then on top of that, for me, I think the whole through line with all of this is, where is the empathy? There was no empathy in 2020. And that's why there was so much civil and racial unrest. And there was like, but now they're asking for, sympathy here. So it's like, okay, so are we going to do it for everybody, or only certain people get to have empathy? So how do we want to move forward as a country? That's the big question mark that I'm looking forward to seeing, and of course that's not going to happen. It's not going to be resolved anytime soon. That's going to be like, we're going to see this resolve itself, hopefully resolve or, pan out over the span of years. But I'm interested to see what that is.
Well, the upside is I do think visual examples are so deeply impactful, even though they're deeply costly. Our kiddos, our younger generations that watch that will be, in 2042 being like, remember January 6th, 2020, 2021. Yep. What happened? I think they'll be like, that's not us, or we can do better. Like, it's such a powerful visual of a breakdown and a breakthrough that I really do think the cost of it is great. And the reaction of it and the influence of it will be equally as great, because I think our young people will choose a more grounded and mature approach to everything. Yes. That's such an explosion of immaturity and like hype and hot air and groupthink and like so many things. And it just doesn't need to get that way. Even if we deeply, deeply disagree, that really is never the answer to anything. So,
and that's what came up in 2020 is, people figuring out, we don't have to agree. We don't have to have the same, stance on everything, but can we make it through? And that's why you saw a lot of friendships falling apart. That's why you saw so many people go at each other on social media, families were torn apart. It was a crazy time. So hopefully it's showing, I think January 6th was another opportunity for people to be like, okay, like, we're not going to be so divisive. Let's work through this together and not pull ourselves apart.
Absolutely. And it's weird because even in 2022 or 2021 and then entering 2022, you get around your close friends, and COVID's been a major divider amongst the people I'm around, where some people agree and they don't want to get vaccinated and blah, whatever. Mm-hmm. And again, we probably disagree way more than we ever know. We just stay in the shallow end of the pool with people we're close to, so we keep the peace. And I think culturally, this is one thing that's
American. Yeah. Very American.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know. I think, and I haven't done in-depth culture studies and anthropology and everything else internationally, but from what I've seen, perhaps a generalization, most people would rather keep the peace than have an opinion and say the truth, and just kind of keep it in that shallow end of the pool, especially on holidays or whatever. And you see so many conversations where, youth have similar upbringings and whatever, where it's, you don't say a lot, you just kind of fall in line. And I think that just masking the truth stays with. And then when there's a point where you're angry about something, every untruth that's ever been there explodes, and you're blaming the one thing that's happening right there.
Yeah. So I will say, I know for a fact that's an American issue.
Okay.
We're known for being passive aggressive people. Yeah. And then you go to different countries, like maybe Australia, they'll curse you out, but it's not don't take it personal, they're just, different countries communicate with people in different countries communicate with each other way differently than we do. And to be honest, that's why other countries probably don't have a lot of, school shootings and all kinds of stuff. Nothing's building up. They're letting it out in the moment, and then they go about their day, as opposed to people in America. They're holding it in and smiling in your face, and then they just blow up.
Yeah. It's really hard to address things at that point in time. This is something I've worked on and we'll talk about and working on and kind of like hopes for 2022, kind of people pleasing and like using your voice in the moment because it actually does streamline process. And on the flip side, it is really, really hard, especially if you're in a group where everybody's thinking, let's go storm the Capitol. And you're kind of like, I agree with what you guys think, but I don't think that's the answer. It's hard to kind of like be the cheese that stands alone and do your own thing. And I think that can be a representation of like being a part of your family. Everybody kind of thinks one way and you're going to be like the one, as I say, the hot pink sheep that sticks out and it's like, I don't want to do that. Or I don't really agree. That whole ideology, it seems like I believe in science or whatever.
I totally get it. And I totally understand. But I think that goes to, making sure people feel empowered to be courageous. Like everything you just mentioned is a form of courage.
And guess what my word is for 2022?
Stop it.
Courage, swear to God.
We're always on the, yes.
It's a vibe. I know. I'm not kidding. That's so funny. All right. So enough of insurrection. I try and reap some of the, I won't say joy, but the learning points of all these things. And I do think it was a stop and think moment, an example to be like, okay, before stuff gets as out of control as you can possibly think our Capitol is being stormed, maybe we personally pull back and be like, let's check in. Like, what decisions are we making here?
Yeah. Agreed.
Following that, Biden gets the inauguration. We have the first African-American female and first female vice president. We had some major turning points. Yes. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't think Biden was going to win. I really didn't.
I was 50-50.
Okay.
I was still having hope, but I was very 50-50 and I was, preparing to, escape to Canada. I don't know. I don't know if they were taking refugees or not.
No, they're like, Americans, don't bring that shit here.
Oh, well, it was about to be a really sad time, or I was about to like hop in a trunk and smuggle on through.
I was going to get a bigger dollhouse or bigger fence at the dollhouse.
Right.
And just full on like build a bunker. But those are big things. And then the other stuff, we'll kind of even move on from here. It says, battle over voting rights, U.S. reigns Paris Climate Accord and WHO, military withdrawal from Afghanistan. That was huge. Notable foreign leaders out of power and political opposition in Russia. So lots of like political stuff and international conversations. Like I really do think the world's kind of on a pivot. And all these things are like such major changes. And yet I feel like we're having such a similar conversation as we did in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, global stuff is always going to happen, though. I'm not too surprised, to be honest. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. What else?
Yeah. Do you think people are paying more or less attention to the global conversation?
Me personally, I don't think so, just because we have so much going on. And, like COVID-19 is still like, running rampant and ruining lives and taking lives. So it's kind of like it's too much to focus on. And I think that's what everybody experienced in 2020. So it's like something's got to give or your head will explode.
Yeah. With a note of like personal responsibility, on the flip side of that is I wouldn't want myself or anyone to get too myopic or we're just worried about ourselves. I monitor the amount of TV and news that I consume ish. I mean, I do still watch The Bachelor and Married at First Sight and all the things that
priorities.
That brain cells. I know, I'm here for it. You gotta have some, again, turmeric and tequila. But I do watch Lester Holt's like 30 minutes of news a night, and they like, of course, every day it's COVID, but they gloss over like world issues, and it's just like a snippet of what's going on. And I feel like that's as much as I can handle, but there's at least there where I have like some tie into what's going on globally and not just as an American or in my own world at the dollhouse. I do think that's an important piece to somehow stay connected.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with it. My thing is like, as long as you have the bandwidth for it. I think I tired myself out in 2020 because I used to watch Lester Holt in the morning on YouTube and just catch myself up on the way to work, and it became way too much. So I just kind of took a step back. I do it at night strategically so I can like then turn on The Bachelor or something basic, because it's like that's a good idea.
Yeah, because you got to keep it as a motivator of like keep showing up, keep doing whatever good you can do it and not get down by it, which is really hard and a continuing skill. But I don't know, balance. Keep that tequila close, as we say. Anything else in 2021 that you want to talk about? Anything positive? We'll talk about our own positives. So
I'm like, I know like personal things that were positive, but like nationally, I'm like, I don't know, throw it away. Well, no, I feel like I'm mixing 2022 and 2021. I know we just got here.
It all blends. Yes.
But so much has happened. I will say, I know that like, like certain like hate crimes that took place, like with the Ahmaud Arbery.
Oh,
so yes. I can't remember when they were sentenced, if it was this year or the end of last year, but they all were sentenced like to life.
Yeah. I think it was into last year. I think that was December.
Like, as negative as that sounds, like, I think that's a step in the right direction, because historically people have been let off for such like horrific crimes like this. So finally, the judicial system is going in the proper direction. So that was good news to me.
When the judges, I can't remember, one of the cases, the jury was not that diverse, but the judges, I think, have all been white males. So yes. I think that says a lot too, that they were intentional on making statements around these verdicts, and didn't really show any like shame in it. The kiddo that came in with the guns, I think that's a different podcast with the judge in that situation. He was pretty hard on the defense. And, we won't get into the legal weeds here, but
let's just make that a whole other podcast. Yeah,
because there was one that was kind of like, really? Right. But the rest of them, I was like, okay, like they're actually, these are pivot points. We have a long way to go, but I agree with you. I think they are pivot points.
Correct.
Okay, let's jump right into our 2021. So I gave Ashley a list of, like we'll go through it, but it's kind of like a self check-in for each thing. And I really hope people hear this and they kind of get encouraged to sit down. It doesn't need to be a big, huge exercise. I think it's just a really good check-in point. And perhaps you can keep it around so you can look at it throughout 2022. So we're going to reflect on 2021 and then jump right into 2022. And it's not really resolutions or goals. It's more like a mindset and intentions. So there's no need for this to be like overwhelming. Like, here's what I have to do, hard deliverables. Yeah. It's really just kind of like fixating your mindset around what you want and really just kind of drawing in that vibration. If you happen to speak universally in spiritual vibes, if not, you can just think it's about keeping your mindset in the right direction.
Tomato.
There you go. I completely agree. So why don't you go first? Let's start. So 2021, the first bullet point I had was, what were 2 blessings in 2021? So let's start with the positive. You can lead.
So 2 blessings, since it started at the top of the year, I was able to let me start. I got vaccinated. I was so happy. I felt super blessed. I was like, okay, like we're finally on this, like the step to like having some kind of normalcy in life again. So like getting vaccinated was like, I felt very blessed that I was able to do that, as well as being able to do that so early. Thankfully, I work for a pharmacy, so we were like first in line.
Yeah.
My second blessing is tied into the first one. Because I got vaccinated, I was able to travel a lot. So I went to Puerto Rico on a girls' trip, and that was just so great. I went to LA a lot this year. I went to Houston for the first time, and oh my God, I love Houston. I went to Atlanta, and I got to see my grandma turn 90 years old. 90.
Wow.
And that was like, it was just beautiful to like, be like, wow, like my grandma turned 90, and to, just kind of ask her questions, like pick her brain, like, what was life when you were a kid? Like, what was it like 90 years ago? It's crazy. Yeah. And then in November, so end of the year trip, I went to Philly to see my best friend who had her first child. So
congrats, Rose.
Shout out to my best friend, Rose, new mom, killing it. Her son is absolutely adorable. And it's just been, I finally felt like normal, not being able to see people, not being able to go outside, not, just finally like, oh, finally I can just do what I usually do.
And it was just Rose's birthday, right? If I stalked your social media correctly.
Actually, today is her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Rose. There you go. We're taking it for you. These mini bottles, don't ever buy them. It was not even a full glass, so price is wrong.
Oh, that was it?
No. Pro tip, don't buy the mini bottle. Yeah. I don't even know why I had them, because if I'm ever having, like, I don't do mini. My whole family does. It's like the Costco giant bottle that they use.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I usually have.
But I didn't cut you off. Was that all of the blessings?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my two blessings. So, getting vaccinated and traveling.
You were one of the first I remember to be vaccinated. And transparent question, did you feel any sort of social pressure or anything being a woman of color? Because there was a huge conversation around race in the vaccination. Did you feel like it was more important being a woman of color, or did that factor in, or unpack that a little bit for me?
Funny enough, no. Like, just, I think because I live alone, I was like, what do I need to do to make sure that I can see my family? Yeah. So that was like my first thing. And, you know, we've had this conversation, but my mom had like some health issues in the past. And so I'm not going to be the person that gives my mom COVID. So my first thing was, yes, I'm first in line because I want to hug my mom. Yeah. That's what was going through my mind. Now, when it comes to, you know, like I get where everybody's coming from. I have friends who are like, I'm not getting vaccinated. And I have friends and family that are like, I am vaccinated, I'm boosted, let's go. Yeah. And I think it just comes down to like empathy and just like, you know, meeting people where they're at. Like, I understand it, especially historically, like the way that African-American people have been treated in like the medical field, like we've literally been guinea pigs. So I understand. And even to this day, like, you know, I've had some friends who have given birth and they'll be like, hey, I'm in pain, I need some pain meds, or they'll just have any type of, you know, procedure done in the hospital and they can barely get medication. Yeah. But if you're like of another race, like, oh yeah, let me shoot you up with a little something. Like, why is it this hard? So I get it. I get where people are at. Me personally, my priorities were, I want to see my mom. I want to hug my mom. I want to be around my family. I want to travel. So that's what it broke down to for me.
Well said. I agree. Because I have all a diverse set of friends, and everyone had like a diverse viewpoint on the vaccination. It wasn't really like a one size fits all. Like white people felt this way, black people felt like. I have.
It was everybody.
Friends, yeah, like
it was everybody.
I was shocked about some people that I was like, really, you won't get it? Like I would have thought you would get. Like, so I was. It's kind of just the theme of 2022 is like, assume nothing, go with it.
Yes.
Ask if people want to share, like you said, empathy and understanding, and then breathe it on out. Cause whatever, like, I don't know. But my two blessings were similar to yours. I said events, highlighted. I think I had 3 weddings in October, and then it was
sure did. You were so busy. I was in and out of town too, but like you were gone.
Well, my life,
all of October.
Yeah, my life is always like I will try and schedule and plan accordingly, and then it's like 50 things pop up, and it's like back to back to back to back to back.
Yes.
Like it's never spread out, and it's been like that my whole life. I don't know what it is. I'll have the whole month off, and like the one day I have something at like 11 a.m. on a Friday, they'll be like, can you do 11 a.m. on Friday? And I'll be like, are you like, I don't know. I need to disrupt my own vibes, but I was super thankful just to like get back to people I had never seen or hadn't seen at least a year or more. And feeling secure in that, being vaccinated and you know, just like kind of getting back to that human connection. I am someone that's super social, but can be alone for a long time. And I kind of like that, but I was really missing like the dance party and the social and the hugs and like all the simple stuff.
Same.
My number 2 was a little myopic, but it was 100 episodes of Turmeric and Tequila right here, right now.
Yes. And congratulations again. I still can't believe that we've known each other for 4 years now.
I know.
2, 100 episodes. A milestone. That is amazing. Amazing. A lot of podcasts do not make it past 100. It's that consistency and the fact that you have actual content, good content. Like, hats off to you, man. Like, I am serious. From
your mouth to my heart. I sincerely, I appreciate that. And I literally, of course, wrote what you just said, avoided pod fade. You really are like channeling.
It's a thing. It's real.
The thing that I'm good at, and this gives me a little bit of faith, like in marriage, as much as I love my independence, is like once I'm in it and I stick to something, like we're in it. Like it takes me a minute to get there to like really commit on that level. But once it's committed, it's in it. And God, we have so far to go. But like you said, I think this is year 3 of Turmeric and Tequila. I took a lot of time off in the beginning, but it's crazy that I had 100 conversations. I can't even believe that I sat down with over 100 people.
100 people, all meaningful.
Yeah. Like that's what a blessing for me. Like truthfully for people to take time, and you multiple times, to come in and like just share their time and energy. Like the only finite thing in life is time. So I really never take it lightly when people come in and give their time and energy, share their heart, be vulnerable, and come on something that's brand new. There's no proof of concept at this point. Like we're new. You may or may not know me well, and you're coming through to speak and let it be recorded. And I don't know, it's just such a big deal. So I run such deep appreciation for the milestone, but really thinking about all the people I got to like personally connect with. Whew, what a gift.
And let that say a lot about you. Like, I know that people were seeking you out, or just like all of the synchronicities and all of the people that you have met along the way, because a good portion of those people you didn't even know.
Yeah.
They're not all like your friends, you know, from around the way. Like these are people that you have been connecting with on a genuine level. You guys didn't know each other. And that says a lot about you.
Well, thank you. Received. And I agree. And that kind of bleeds in my 2022. We won't jump ahead. I don't know how we can't not read each other's thoughts or vibrations. So we're going to have a lot of circular combo here.
We do this every time. We never share our content ever.
I know.
You just send me a list of what we're going to discuss. I do my thing. And then we're just like, turn on the camera.
Facts. Yeah. We never like, I don't know if people believe this, but yeah, we never discuss like what we're going to discuss.
They're like, you're lying.
It's seriously hilarious. But it's cool. And it kind of bleeds into my 2022 of like further uniting mission-driven humans. And it's kind of my mission statement, but we'll get to it. That's what it is, because that can be our unifying point. So it's been such a learning journey, and the humans that come through with like a mindset of, even though we deeply disagree probably on so many things we haven't even touched on, but we agree on so much as well. And we can coexist amongst our disagreements and come on that common ground of the spaces we do agree and still forge forward. So
yeah, I think your podcast shows, like, to add on to what you just said of like, this is what America can be like. It's not that hard. There are people doing it.
Yes. Yes. Amen. Preach it. Yeah, that's it. And if
that's literally it. You've met with all kinds of people, people that you probably vehemently disagree with on a personal level, but still are able to have a genuine conversation and find some common ground. It can be done. We're doing it.
Yeah. And respectfully. Like I still respect
respectfully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, we might have to go reach. I've got tequila in here. I might have to go that second since my champagne is small. But yeah, so many blessings in 2021. But I think those are great. And I think I love that both of ours were about us, but like really about other people too, because you already know. All right, give 2 challenges I overcame. So give me your 2 challenges you overcame in 2021.
Okay, so number 1 challenge, and so we're going to get really deep and personal here. I had surgery last year. So I had a fibroid the size of a grapefruit, or as my surgeon said, the size of a newborn baby's head.
Oh,
great.
Okay. Yes. Deep association there. Intense.
Right. I was like, wow, I was carrying a part of a child in my, wow, that's cool. Right. So had to have that removed, had to, that was the first time I ever had surgery, had to do recovery. Thank God everything went very, very well. Apparently I'm here, and, so I'm just very, very thankful that that went really well, because prior to, I was very, very sick. So when you have a fibroid, it makes you, depending on the location on where it is, mine happened to be partially inside my uterus and partially outside of my uterus. So they had to like take it out and then sew up my uterus so it can, it was a whole thing. And some people can have it like near their uterus or like somewhere in their stomach area. But since mine was inside my uterus, it was making me bleed a lot. So I was losing a lot of blood, and I was like severely anemic, to the point where my doctors were like, I don't know how you get up and go to work every day. Like, I'm very concerned. So yeah, just working, like having to work a job, being sick. And
your first surgery ever is a big deal.
Yeah. And like having to know like, oh man, like I have to go in and like, they're going to knock me out and hopefully bring me back. Like that's a little scary. So yeah, it was a whole thing, but just like a little context, like about like 80% of like African-American women get fibroids. So, I definitely wanted to get a little bit up close and personal just because it is so common. So, some side effects are, you just have like really, really long periods. They're very, very heavy. Your cramping is like really, really intense as opposed to like what you're used to. And you're just really, really tired because you're anemic. So if anybody out there is experiencing any of that, definitely go to your doctor, and don't be afraid to get a second opinion, because it took more than one doctor to diagnose me. Somebody just thought that years ago, and I've been carrying that around for years. So I've been experiencing those side effects for at least 3 years. And the doctors, they just didn't know. They couldn't figure it out up until last year. So wild times. I'm glad I'm still here.
And thank you for sharing that, because that is anything about your body is always really hard to share. But I agree with you. It's really, it's again, personal responsibility for us to check in and be like, something's just not right. And even if there's nothing wrong, it's better to go get checked, which is a huge pain in the butt. Nobody wants to go to the doctor.
Some people are scared. Some people are terrified. Sometimes you don't care to go to the doctor either.
Yeah.
But if something's up, I'll go, I'll ask. But if nobody's giving you any answers, like, what motivates you to keep going?
Yeah.
But you still let it be a lesson. Keep going, keep pushing. You have to be an advocate for yourself, because nobody else will.
Well, and we're taught to like always believe the doctors, and there's no doctors to our medical staff and personal or our medical professionals in any capacity, or first responders or whatever. That being said, on a flip side, I'm a longtime athlete, so I've done tons of surgeries, and so I've run those laps literally on so many levels, and I would always get a second opinion because I wanted to get the answer I wanted to hear. Oh, you can keep playing. Yes, keep doing CrossFit, keep beating the shit out of your body. And I would find the right doctor that had also done CrossFit or whatever. But it was really excellent practice in take one doctor's opinion and absolutely get a second, because the variance can be incredible. And different doctors, they can't help but bring their own personal bias and beliefs to things, and that's okay. But you really need to see a couple different people, because these are major decisions in your life, and they can change the trajectory of how you approach everything moving forward. I've had many doctors tell me, don't ever play sports again. And had that been true, that would have changed my life and my happiness, my mental health. So you need to, just like anything, question everything and go get that second opinion. So I give you a lot of kudos if you're kind of new to surgery and that, like, that's just the space I've been in for so long. If you don't know it, the last thing you want to do is go under the knife. And
it's a lot, like, you want to be like, is this something that I have to do? And that was the conversation that had to be had, like, okay, are there any options? And because it was so large, like, no, they physically had to remove it from my body. Now, if it was smaller, they had like medications and steroids and all kinds of things that can shrink it over time. But mine was just way, way, way too big. And and one thing that I also want to add is, going back to like the other conversation that we just had about like getting vaccinated and, the African-American community being weary of, the medical field and stuff like that. Like, I actually know African-American women who have told me they had really large fibroids. They didn't know what it was. They let it go on for so long, to the point where this was years and years ago. So it was at the time where they were performing hysterectomies on people. Yes. Wow. They were performing hysterectomies on young Black women. So these women, thankfully, the people that have told me that they got a hysterectomy, like, they had children. So thank God. But I do know one woman, and thankfully she does have one child, but they found a fibroid in her uterus area as well. But they essentially, they didn't do a full hysterectomy on her, but they took enough out to where she could not have children anymore. And later on, she got married. So she was a little upset that, she can't procreate with her now husband. But those are the things that, like, people have to deal with on a regular basis. And I literally cried out of gratitude, because I'm like, thank God I can still have children. At least the technology is so advanced, and at least people are taking care of people regardless of race. At least last year, to the point where they were going to make sure that they took care of me, and didn't just want to be like, oh, let's take out all her female organs and call it a day, because that's what they were doing. Yeah. So I'm just thankful that I will still be able to have children.
And I think a lot of that stuff still does happen, like around race, around females, like all
Yes, they're still sterilizing people. It's crazy out here.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're a white man, you got to get that second opinion, because a lot of, again, I'm here for the doctors, but there's so much ego that runs in that profession, and it's their way and the highway. And that's okay. They work miracles, but it doesn't hurt. It's your body. It's your responsibility. Question it. Just get one more opinion and lean into it. And
always remember that when you see a physician, they say that they are practicing.
Yeah.
Please keep that in mind. And that's what they lean on when you try to sue them. Okay. So I am just practicing. I'm just here. I've been educated as much as I can in my field, but it's always changing. They're always getting new information.
Yeah.
And so they're doing the best that they can with the information that they currently have. So yes, go see multiple people and make sure it's a consensus and something that you're comfortable with doing. Thankfully, I got to do what they call laparoscopic surgery. So they kind of went in and essentially they didn't have to perform a C-section on me. They got to do it the least invasive way.
Okay.
So, and I know people that had to have the actual C-section type of surgery to get rid of their fibroid, and they have not had children. So that's also a thing to keep.
Gosh. Well, I mean, there is a lot of space in that because it is evolving. Technology is changing by the day. I'm a practicing podcaster. If you listen to episode 1, hopefully it's better now. We don't know. More champagne, the big bottle. But it is, again, we are human beings. This really isn't a point always of blame. It's just the facts are the world is changing. We are evolving. Get a couple opinions, get a couple coaches, get a couple therapists, have multiple views on your situation, because you have one body of one life, and it's worth that extra phone call, or extra visit, or extra conversation of just making sure.
Amen.
What was your second thing? Or was that both?
Well, I guess it kind of turns into the first thing. So I was very, very sick. At least for more than half, because I had surgery in September. So I was sick most of the year. And at work, I experienced burnout. So that was a very serious challenge, being very sick. And then I got a really intense, huge project dropped on me that honestly, a normal human should not have been able to get that done. So there was not enough time or resources. Of course, they think they can throw money at the whole situation. And it makes it okay, but that's not realistic. But yeah, having to be sick and to, take on a really huge project on my own. Thankfully, I got it done, and, yay, but at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and we'll get into more stuff about the effects of burnout and what I'm doing to take care of myself moving forward. Because that was a learning lesson. It was a challenge, but it was a learning lesson for me.
I was going to say, my varsity mission-driven humans, guess what? You're going to learn the hardest way possible, but you will not have to learn that lesson twice.
Nope.
I mean, you might. I've done it maybe on a couple things, but the big ones,
on the topic.
Yeah, the real big ones, relationships and stuff. We'll
that one knocked my head a couple times.
Yeah, but personal health, I don't play with that.
Right.
If I don't feel good, my body doesn't move, my brain's feeling not no. That one, we're clear.
Yeah. So those are my two. What about you?
Okay. So my challenges, mine were both kind of overarching themes. And I did this intentionally kind of quick. I wrote down the first thing, and I didn't go back and change anything, because I knew as we talk, I'd be oh yeah, and this and this. But I wanted to just be my straight off, right off the cuff. When you're taking a test, they say go with the first answer. So I was hoping it was just honest what it was, but it said number 1, people pleasing. And again, I wrote continuing process, because I am totally Well, number one, I do like to be involved in all things. I hate turning down opportunities. Yeah. I always think you can make all things work. And this kind of like, even when you were saying like you got the project and I knew you would handle it, because I remember talking to you this phase of time, and I'm like, I know she's just going to whoop on herself till she'll get it done no matter what. But I'm like, I know this is going to be one of those things you have to run through the wall and like come out with scars and be like, oh yeah, the scar's there. We're never doing this again. Chronic people pleaser. And even like some of like the initial online dating stuff, I was like, what do you do? Like, stop it. Like,
what is this?
What are you doing? So that's going to be a continuing challenge, although, and I've really felt how uncomfortable boundaries are. And I'm like, are they mad? Cause I'm not really mad. Like I'm going to do a full podcast called, kindness is not weakness and boundaries are not meanness. So we're going to go there because it's really hard to like know that people are unsettled and or like not fully understand understanding why you are not pleasing them in some capacity or doing what they want to do. So,
or just the fact that they're not getting their way because they're used to getting their way with you. And now that it's a new day, it's a problem. And that's hard to deal with. Honestly, it's a lot.
You already know one deeply specific example.
Ma'am, make sure I'm in on this podcast. On that next one.
Yeah. Okay. We're done. But yeah, there's like some deep letting go of humans. And it's really okay. But I guess my major pain point is that my personality truthfully is so laid back. I'm so down with whatever, so long as you come equipped and come transparent and come true.
Yes.
And therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
So I'm not perfect in any capacity or overtly transparent all the time or anything like that. But we've done enough work to where I am valid in having a certain expectation and people having that expectation of me, and it will continue to evolve. But so people pleasing was a challenge. We've come miles, and we're letting a lot go.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've seen growth.
I hope so.
Because I was there, but yes, I've seen the growth, of course.
On the front lines.
Within like you having boundaries, like you were like being able to stand up for yourself once again goes back into that having courage conversation. This stuff is not easy. Like, of course, people appreciate people who are courageous and speak their mind and do what is best for them. But who said nobody wants to have the conversation about how hard it is to enforce it and stand by it?
It is so hard. In certain things, it feels good immediately to be like, used voice, not acceptable. I'm out. This is done. Whatever. On other things, it's like, I don't know if they really understood, blah, blah, blah. But over time, it actually really feels good. And in specific situations we're even talking about or like referencing or not so candidly referencing, parts of me are like, I never want to go back to that. Like it was so clear of like a pivot point that it's like, I don't want to go back. So that's when I feel like the growth in not people pleasing happens. Cause you're like, no. Yeah. You remember. And this is you now. That was you then. Let it fly.
Oh, yes. This is you now. Like, yes. Absolutely.
So number 2, we'll move on because that could be a whole cast in itself. The idea of time, there is a lot of it, ongoing process, letting go of story. I am one of those that was truthfully always busy and so many moving parts. But when you start to kind of, I don't want to say organize your life, but cut out the BS, people pleasing, saying no, whatever. And I've talked about some of this stuff for years. It's just taking so long for it to really like understand, but fully implement and really cut out some of those boundaries or humans, energies, obligations that have been there for so long. Maybe you're in a marriage and you have to get out of it. Maybe it's a friendship. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's a pet. Who knows? Like some of these things are not quick pivot points. So please don't be hard on yourself if it's not a quick change when you set these goals or resolutions or whatever, and it takes a couple of years. That's okay. Because this point has been such an evolving space of there's not enough time. Time is so finite. But when I started to get up early, do my morning routine, create space for my workout, create space for my work, I could see how I had like 5 hours at night to like watch shitty TV or play with my dogs or go out for a drink or, I mean, still evolving, but that idea of time has really been a challenge for me.
Okay. That's fair. I like that. And that's, I mean, just the awareness. Love it.
We try. In real life, what I love about us having this conversation is we do know each other well enough to where it's like, oh yeah, and that one time, and that's bullshit. Like there has to be transparency because there's like checks and balances that's unsaid.
Yes.
Okay. So moving to the next one, we just did 2 challenges overcame. 2 points of personal growth hit me.
Okay. So 2 points of personal growth. Last year, I made a new lifelong habit of meditation. I meditated pretty much every day.
And you do long ones, like long ass meditations.
Yeah. I try to do at least an hour.
Hashtag goals. I do my morning routine, but it's like 2 to 5 minutes. So I'm working to your level.
Also everybody's different. Everybody's different. Everybody's brain works different. Me in the morning, like I think my main thing of last year was really getting control of my thoughts.
Yeah.
And, that takes time. And meditation in the beginning, it's hard. Like a lot of people don't want to talk about how hard it is. They just want to see pictures of people like, sitting crisscross applesauce, like and doing yoga. Like, no, like meditation is hard when you first start out. But like any other habit you do, like once you start, you do not want to stop. And once you see the like positive effects that it has on your life, like, no, like this is what I do now. So yeah, meditation's been my jam. And then a second thing was going to therapy. So I started going to therapy like May of 2020 and went twice a month, every month, all last year. And it just really widened my perspective, just really helped me learn how to open my heart. Like you really learn about forgiveness and actually like implement it into your life. And then once again, it was just one of those things that's like, it had such good positive effects on my life. It's like, oh, I'm never not going back. Like this is a part of my life. And, you know, a lot of people think that therapy is very situational, like, oh, like I have a lot of childhood trauma, or like, oh, like I'm going through a breakup. And while those things are very true and valid, like I personally think that I'll be in therapy for the rest of my life because my life is going to change. So, you know, in a few years, I'm going to have kids. I will need therapy because of those kids.
In the best way.
In the best way.
Pro athlete,
you have therapy because I'll be married and be like, how am I going to deal with this man when I want to choke him? Yeah. But he can't leave. Yeah. Like he lives here.
You get to have therapy. Like you get
and thank you. You get to have therapy. There's that thankfulness and gratitude where it all rolls back to. But like just to make sure that you're making sure that your energy is right, and you have widened perspective so you're not so reactive and having control over your emotions. Like my life has been a complete 180. And like you saying, like, this is who I am today. Like I am very intent on being like, this is who I am today. That's who you met a couple years ago. That's who you knew 2 years ago. Yeah. But this is who I am today. And this is what we're doing now.
And I want to give gold stars where they're due. Who, if you want to share this or maybe not, but who inspired you to go to therapy, or who led that journey a little bit?
So I would say it was me and also like my mom for sure.
Yes.
I think so. My mom had me go to therapy like years and years ago. It just wasn't the right fit with the person that I met with.
Which is huge. It's kind of like the medical conversation, not to cut you off, but like get the second opinion or trust your gut.
Girl.
That's a big piece right there.
Had I had that wisdom back then, I would have probably found my therapist today. But it's okay. Everything works out for how it's going to work out. But yeah, I went to that one person, definitely did not jive, was not feeling it. And I was like, well, no, I don't want therapy at all. Where it's like, no, like just give it another chance. Like it, yes. And a lot, I talk to both of my best friends about this all the time, but finding a good therapist that you vibe with is dating. It's dating.
Just like a good coach. Absolutely. And that's okay.
God.
Take your time, find it, because they're going to be in your heart space, in your mind space.
Yes.
Get there and trust your gut. You don't need to be a professional in therapy. I've never done it before. Just trust your gut on humans. Huge piece of feedback you're providing right now.
And on top of that, don't take it personally. Just because you're about to leave them and go to a different therapist, they're going to see somebody else. There's a lot of people who are like, oh my God, I don't want to leave them because I'm going to hurt my therapist's feelings. You are paying them.
A customer.
Like, if you're not feeling with it, if you're not feeling what's going on, you need to leave and find somebody that you jive with. Otherwise, you are wasting their time. And most of all, you are wasting your time and your money, especially, I mean, I pay out of pocket. So, but worth every penny. Every penny. So
a lot of insurance people will say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. One, you do have the time because I've unpacked that. You create space. We'll do that in a whole other podcast as well. But two, a lot of insurances will pay for it.
Or
there's free resources. There's even apps now, not Mindful, but something.
Yeah,
there's
like
a couple
Talkspace. There's all kinds, and like just even start small. Like even if you have to start with an app just because it's cheaper, just start small. Yeah. At least start getting stuff off your chest and like figuring out how you can think differently and widen your perspective on life. Yes. And then go from there. Once you start making a little bit more money, then maybe see if you want to graduate to seeing somebody in person or via Zoom, whatever. But just start somewhere. That's the one thing that I will always drive home. Don't wait and be like until you want it to be perfect. Otherwise, you're never going to get it done.
I so agree. You just have to think of it as a conversation and an opportunity to be coached, like a personal trainer in the gym. Go get a personal trainer for your brain, and just don't overthink it. Go have a conversation. You vibe, you don't, whatever. But I absolutely love that your mom was like the one that kind of opened the doors to that, because I wish people I knew that were over 70 were open-minded to therapy and didn't have this old school stigma around it, because it would change family Christmases.
And to be honest, like my mom is not your usual typical human being. Like that is like a Renaissance woman. Let me tell you, like, she's not like the way that she thinks and the way that she behaves is like way different than like people who are in her generation. So shout out to Mama Lucy.
Hey, I got one sip left. Yes. To her.
Yes.
Weak ass small bottles. But yeah, no, I think it's just so critical that all generations, your mom is way ahead of her time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like her thinking and perspective is so grounded and like universal, if that makes sense. That's kind of just coming to I've only really seen your mom, I think 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So, but just like the energy and stuff, when you had told me initially, like it was my mom's therapist, and I was like, of course. Like, of course she's ahead of it. I'm like, can she call my mom?
Yeah. Okay.
And, just share the gospel there and whatever. But anyways, so I'm just here to champion anyone over 40 that's super open to therapy, because the stigma still needs to be unpacked. And man, a conversation that you can do digitally on your phone can streamline so much energy in your life. It's miraculous.
Absolutely. 1000% agreed. What about you? What's your personal growth?
Was that both your points of personal growth?
Yep. Meditation and therapy.
That's right. Yeah, we got to level up on our meditation. The meditation's so awesome. My body does get addicted to it. I'm not on the 60-minute level, but every morning, it was so great. And I use Headspace because we basic.
Yes. And
the little quotes, and it's constant reminders that meditation doesn't need to be perfect. Like, just sit there and know that you'll get better in a year. Like, just do it for a year and let it just sit there and let it go.
Yeah. And the fact that you've been doing it for a year, like that literally gave me so much joy to know that, like, not only am I meditating, my close friends and family around me now meditate is so like, you have no idea like how much joy that brings to me.
Yeah. Well, but what a privilege that we actually, again, who you're around, we are championing it versus someone being like, well, I don't meditate, I don't believe it works, whatever. Like it's someone that can understand your process and champion you along the way. Like, we all need support, even as secure grown women. You need that support and the community around you being like, okay, tell me about that. Like, tell me more. Like, what'd you do? Which app did you do? How did you feel? It was really hard today, blah, blah, blah. Like, you need the crew around you that's supporting you leveling up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And my points of growth were further self-acceptance. And I'm going to do my 1 and 2, and working with a coach again to unpack and move forward. These were really big in 2021. I think this bleeds into 2022. I'm kind of like you, that I don't even know what day it is. We're blending together. Like, I'm out of champagne, so we're about to get tequila, so it's all clear. But so one of my friends, shout out to Jessica Crow, she started a business. She left the corporate world, and the coaching with her has been phenomenal. We just kind of started it to further her experience and me get back into it. And now I think we're 6 or 7 months in, and the growth for me has been so exponential. And I was so good for a long time because I come from fitness. So like me, personal coaching and therapy, I was here for all of it because I already done that. And I know you need to have that to be a better athlete. So that was kind of my motivator. But I had, since not competing and whatnot, I kind of got out of like the coaching space, and being back in it, I echo all your statements around therapy. It's such a blessing to have someone listen and hear you, even if it's not like the most skilled coach in the world, which Jessica is phenomenal. But you have like, someone that's intentionally there for you in a safe space, just hearing you out, personal, professional, goals, whatever. It provides not only space for you to be heard, but for you to re-listen to yourself speaking and hear what you're saying and feel that. So you can kind of understand where your own self is coming out. Like some of the things I didn't think were that big of a deal, even being a coached human my whole life. When I was saying it back, I'm like, oh, this actually is a lot. This is way more really. No wonder it's draining the F out of me. Like no wonder I'm exhausted, because when I say it out loud or we talk about recaps, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
some reflection there.
Big old boundary. Yep. And we got to go back to that. Yeah. And there's reflection points. And so I will continue with that. I'll continue with the coaching. I think I'm going to pick up formal therapy and see where we can kind of couple those things together because I think it's good, but also because I want to streamline process. Like I know what I want. So if there's something I can do to get there faster, like let's do it.
Thank you. Like, let's be serious.
Let's get to it. And on the flip side, if I want someone in my life that is varsity level, seeking next level, like they better be open to all this because we're all going to need to continue and improve. So you got to start these habits right now.
Right. And like, I know it's cliche, but they always say like, if you're looking to date or be in a relationship or get married, like be exactly that person.
Yeah.
So just really look inside yourself. Like in this state that you are in right now, are you somebody that you would date, court, marry, all of the above? If that's a no, let's explore it. If it's a yes, keep going and stand in it because you have no choice but to attract what you are. So if you are not all of the things that currently that you want in life, like you might need to do a little reflection and some growth.
And give yourself some grace with it. Be honest if it's a no.
And it's okay. Yeah. I'm not who I was 3 years ago.
I'm not who I was one mini champagne bottle ago. No, I even a year. I mean, you see, we've thankfully had like really long conversations, and I can tell even our conversations how we've grown and elevated and been able to be more and more transparent and probably like gracefully, but more critical and more aware, I think, of our faults, but in turn then be able to address them and move forward. Like
we look at them as opportunities. We're not beating ourselves down. So I think that's where people get it mixed up, where when you're bringing up like, the not so fun parts about yourself, we're all human. We're not perfect, but as long as you have self-awareness, you are able to call it out, you can change it. And that's the whole point. Yeah. And that's what therapy helps you do. Yeah. Especially if you're not used to doing that, they help you become a little bit more self-aware, a little bit every session.
And it's help and support because life changes, things happen. And my family's evolving right now so much. We're at such a pivot point in a good way, but like there's coaches and opportunity to like help you get through something or help you address it or approach it gracefully that again, can not only streamline process, but maybe not create such of a stamp or potentially a negative mark that doesn't need to be there because it's probably just misunderstanding something or miscommunication or lack of communication.
Right.
They can really help them like mitigate the full mess. Like, because a lot of times it's not as big of a deal as it seems to you. Not to disrespect your emotions or reaction, but if you can talk through it and alleviate some of your immediate reaction, usually you can navigate it much easier than a giant situation.
1000%. It goes back to that whole being able to control your emotions. And once you control your emotions, you're able to see things from a wider perspective and make a better decision.
Yeah. And you don't just address that once and it goes away. This is a continuing process
every day
through your whole life.
I am doing this daily. Okay.
There was such a great thing on one of my headspace. It was so simple. It's like, don't be mad in traffic. You are the traffic. And it's the truth. Like my car's sitting there just like yours. So like breathe it on out. Know that you are part of the problem. Even if you're right, it's or wrong or whatever, like you're still in it. Like you are 50% of this. So there's that. Personal growth. Oh, that's our new cardio. Moving on. 2 things I appreciate about last year.
Okay.
Dramatic pause.
I mean, the first one goes back to what we've already discussed. So I was just very, very appreciative that my surgery went really well. Shout out to my surgeon who turned out to be like the number one surgeon for my specific surgery in the entire state. Okay. So it went really, really well. And my recovery went really, really well. Like I can actually like wear a bathing suit and you would have no idea that anything happened. So thank you so much, Dr. Camp.
Yes.
And then, we already discussed, like, I'll still be able to have children. And that's like really big and important to me. And a second thing I really appreciated about last year is that I was able to have my holiday party again.
Equal appreciation here.
And, we're just very people. We love people. I love having people gather. I know you do too, because we both just throw parties. So just being able to have like, my staple of a party come back and just being able to see like how excited everybody was, like, and the party hadn't even happened yet. I just sent out the invite. Oh, it's happening. Oh my God. Like, okay. All right. Give it a few weeks, y'all. I'll see you soon.
Well, the best thing is friends of friends. Cause then you get to know, like, they're like-minded humans immediately.
Yeah.
So and sometimes you don't see them until it's like you go to your friend's stuff. So I got to see your friends that I'd like kind of become friends with, but we don't talk regularly. We get to see them again. And it's just like a group of like-minded humans. So it's so cool to kind of streamline that process and be like, oh my God, like, how are you? This and that, like kiddos, your niece goes to my high school. Like it's
God.
The commonalities are crazy. So it's cool.
And the fact that like all the commonalities, and it's always like I was talking to my mom about this the other day. I was like, it is a very huge compliment to me that everybody in the space gets along. Like nobody, there's never any friction. And, of course, like that's natural in life. So I wouldn't be like, oh no, the party's ruined if somebody doesn't like somebody. Like, but the fact that that doesn't happen, and that is so rare. Like I'm very, very appreciative of it. And it just goes back to say like, wow, like everybody in my life is like amazing. They're just really great people. And like take it another level, like everybody wants to hang out with everybody. Like I know that there've been people that I introduced you to and that like you hang out with them outside of me. And like, even like Paula, like I've become like really good friends with Paula, and me and Paula will go like roller skating and, if you're doing your own thing. So, stuff like that is just really beautiful to me.
Yeah. I love it so much. And as you kind of said to me prior, it's a reflection of you. Like when you have such high vibration, you're bringing in these phenomenal humans, that we get to now become a part of. It's a reflection of you. And then I'm honored, and I absolutely notice like, oh, cool. I get to be a part of this crew of humans that are intentional. They're talking about freaking investments in the stock market. And
oh my God, right?
over Hennessy and tequila.
Lots of Hennessy and tequila.
I know.
Champagne.
I still don't think you should shoot Hennessy. It's too good. Like you need to sip it. But I still took shots. Anyways.
Good luck. Good luck with the Johnson side of my family.
In fact, well, I wasn't going to argue. I don't threaten you with a good time. Like I'm in, obviously.
I forgot who it was. One of my friends was like, I really had fun at your party, but I was afraid to go into the kitchen because I knew I'd have to take a shot of Hennessy. And I was like, that sounds about accurate.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Right.
Facts. But it's like good. But I'm saying it was like a perfect turmeric and tequila balance of like literally we're talking about financial investments over like mini shots of Hennessy. Like the fifth. Yeah. So respect all the way around. Was that both your things?
Yeah.
Okay. Things that I appreciated. There actually was a lot. I had to like kind of think about this, but what really stood out to me was falling back in love with CrossFit and the community around it. I like what you talked about, like burnout with work, like CrossFit, just there's so many levels of it. I was so burned out. And like when I'm in on something like lacrosse, all in, we're traveling across the country, we're walking on, we're doing the most, like my whole life will work around it. And that's cool. Like that's how I roll, which is a lot. Balance will happen, probably never, but we'll seek it. But to have, it just got so, I got to say, toxic for a while, so much around it. And it was just too much, and, the wrong things and the wrong story and a lot of things. That being said, phenomenal lessons, so much I would never change because it kind of pointed me in the right directions on many things, a lot around personal growth and boundaries, but just clarity on where I am, who I am, what I want, using voice, blah, blah, blah. But to be back in the community of fitness humans, training, showing up to work hard, really not about the fitness, but such a phenomenal filter for mission-driven humans. It's been so great to have that back in my world on the daily. It's a great point for me to wake up in the morning and go to the gym right away and be amongst people that are like-minded. And usually we talk, the 9:30 class, shout out to Palladium, is always, we're talking, we're doing stuff, but we still show up and do hard work. And I'm just so appreciative to have that back in my world. That's such an important piece of who I am. I'm a team animal. So being around my fitness humans, working towards a common goal, even if it's personal self-improvement, is huge. So I have so much gratitude to not just show up and go through it and go through the motions, because I can do that, but like truthfully be glad to be there. And I think this can transpire to like other people, maybe like in a marriage or in a work situation. Like keep the faith that maybe if you take a break, when you come back, like it can actually change. I don't know if I believe that. Like when I thought it was done, and I was over it. But if you can air out some stuff, let it breathe, and maybe change a different gym, maybe a new marital counselor or whatever. I don't know. You just kind of keep the faith that something you once loved, you can love again. If you do some personal growth, take some time, get some clarity, and change your perspective or change the immediate environment around it, and it can go back to being something you love again. So I don't know. I hope that resonates to some people, because that was like a major pivot point for me.
No, I think that's really beautiful. And one, like I was really happy for you because I know how important it is to you. So I was really happy to see like you go back. And then I think the through line of what you said, about like loving something again is like just giving it time.
Yeah.
You know, I think as humans, at least me personally speaking, before therapy, everything was like very black and white. So either it's going to work or it's not going to work. Like everything was very catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, if just give it a little time, take a step back, and then come back and see how it is, and things might change.
Yeah. I think we're not really taught to think that way. It's like, once it's done, it's done. And then it's also
cut
like,
it off.
Yeah. It's protective because you're like, oh, it's a boundary. Like, I'm done. That's it.
Yep. Well, and like people are taught to be in survival mode.
Yeah.
They're not taught to be in like creation and love and, you know, being around people and connecting, you know, it's just like all or nothing. Like it's a dog eat dog world, you know, like, no, like we can all win. It's okay.
Yeah.
Now it may not be exactly when you want it.
Yeah.
That's America for you.
It's universe. You got to just kind of let it play out for a minute, but don't like keep the faith and just keep doing you, whatever you can control, but keep that open-mindedness that it can circle back in an evolved space, in an evolved way.
Absolutely.
My number 2 kind of goes into that clarity on what I want, and body feels healthy because of the mind. You know, when I was in prior fitness situation, I was physically, I tore my ACL in college and my shoulders are beat up from muscle ups and blah, 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 like overuse, but no regrets there because we're an athlete and this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the most, and you kind of have to compete. And so no sorries there. And a lot of it, what I've really learned over the years was mental. I was in so many things that were out of alignment of my core values. I didn't use my voice around stuff. I kind of fell in the background, and it was really hard because we were in such a competitive training situation. There weren't a lot of options, which is also a little bit of story and a little bit of excuse, but truthfully, it was a hard space to navigate because there really wasn't really other spaces to be equally as competitive. That being said, once I got out of those environments and away from those situations, I'm not kidding you, my knock on wood, my knee felt better, my body felt better, my shoulders have been okay. Like I can't tell you how exponentially more healthy I feel overall getting out of those situations. I didn't see how negatively like that was impacting my mental until I was like out of it, like a full detox of like a couple years, which then in turn allowed me to love something I loved so much once again. So something I really try and remember, or I hope I remember as I continue to grow up, is maybe the problem isn't what you think the problem is. It's not about the fitness and the training. It's about the environment that you're in or the people you're around or the way my perspective is around it or way I'm approaching it. Like I think it's really important to like find out why you don't feel good and then seek answers within that, like in a really in-depth level. It might not be your immediate viewpoint. And then really try and get out of it so that more clarity can come and then in a different way reapproach that situation. So I hope that makes sense, but it's the physical and the mental.
Yeah.
It all
ties in. You mentally don't feel good. Your body starts feeling terrible.
You're winning if your mental therapist can also be your physical therapist.
Look,
I don't know if that's a thing,
like 5 pounds while I'm talking to you. Okay,
seriously, I'm standing on like a bocce ball or whatever those half balls are, and we're talking. Anyways, you haven't tried to do that. All right, moving forward. 2 ways I was kind to myself, self-care in 2021.
In 2021, I learned how to take PTO.
Good for you.
Because, you know, like they give it to you because they know you're not going to take it. And, you know, they know that in America, you're just work. And like, you want to show that you're always busting your behind and like pushing and striving and scratching and surviving, whatever the hell. So I learned to take my PTO. And for those of you who actually have it, please do take it. The day that you die or the day that you leave, they will fill that role. It does not matter. So make sure you are at your very best and you can give your best and have the best productivity at whatever you're doing. But definitely, if that is a benefit that you are offered, please do take it. And then another thing that ties in kind of like work-wise, but then also I implemented it into my personal life is not being afraid to ask for help. So in a way, like it is like me being kind to myself because I'm used to, just having my own back and just not like reaching out first to see like what my community and what like my village can help me achieve when like, of course, I know like my friends and family are intensely supportive of me. But I think I'm, one thing that I'm working through in therapy is like watching a single mother raise 2 kids is like, oh, okay, like I have to make sure that I'm good and I have to do this all by myself. Like, no, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
So I think like unlearning that and then also like putting it into action. So like, for example, like my party, usually I'm like, no, just bring yourself, don't bring anything. But I was like, nope, you bring some chips, you bring some salsa, you bring some champagne. And, you know, people were happy to bring things. Like, it's not like, you know, like I'm being a pain in the ass right. by asking for things. People want to do things for you. And like sitting in that is like, yeah, kind of me being kind to myself, because like, what is the self-talk that you have of like, oh, maybe they, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm being a burden to that person if I ask them for something. Like, no, you're not. So that's not being afraid to ask for help.
That's what's up. I think we I hope you actually see value points. I mean, I know you see value points in our conversations, but I think we kind of go through lessons or like have focuses at different times, but then they're always kind of paralleling each other.
Yes.
Because I know we come from like strong female mindset, entrepreneurial mindset. You know, my parents were divorced. And so I kind of have similar things. Like, you always got it. So like, it's greatly different, but I feel like we always have these like parallels. So I'm always like, yes. And I've always told like, I need to pay your therapist too, because I get,
we'll send him a edible arrangement or something.
A Harry David basket with like the gross sausage and cheese. It's like
of and he'll take it.
Hey, I would too. I love it. Okay, so was that your two things? I think I'm gonna ask you this every time.
No, you're good.
They kind of blend together. Mine certainly does. Mine was fitness and my morning routine. My self-care, the fitness for me is so big. And it's, again, not really about physical training. It's about the community, having laughs. You show up, you're around intentional beings. The crew at Bladium, this is a shout out to them. The staff that runs like everything janitorial, that keeps up the equipment. They go out in the morning at 6 a.m. and shovel the snow for us to work outside. Like I literally walk out of that gym thinking, am I working as hard as the humans I just worked out around? The entire crew that's there, the person that manages it is phenomenal. I see her working all the time in her office, and you can see the hard work, and I effing love seeing that, because when I go home, I'm like, yo, are you doing as much as they are? And not in like a self-deprecating way. It's just like a continuing point of like, you're around varsity humans, so you stay in that varsity zone. And I just appreciate
like-mindedness. It keeps, if you're around the right crew and people, it pushes you. It does not keep you stagnant.
Absolutely. And I even messaged a couple girls that were they're moving some weights and putting up big times. And I was like, I love it. Thank you. It whoops the shit out of me most days. I'm not doing the extra I once did, but they set the bar really high. And it's awesome to like chase it and be in it. And like, even just like know that it's there. Like, you do push harder. That's one of the beautiful things I love about CrossFit is you just kind of like level up. But it's important for me to acknowledge it's not just the people working out, it's the whole crew that makes the ship run, and that hard work is seen. So I hope they feel that. And the morning routine, but I usually I do my morning routine before I go work out. So like it kind of keeps it all together, but just keeping that mental space, waking up, meditating, journaling, reading, writing, and kind of getting my shit together on the daily has really been a phenomenal self-care point.
Yeah. And I love that we have that in common, because I don't talk to anybody. I don't look at my phone. I don't do anything until I meditate, pray, and then I can, interact with the world. Yes. So I love that.
Yeah. Wait, do a lot of your friends meditate? I feel like I have pockets of friends that do, but I don't know if it's a running theme.
It's pockets. So it's you, my mom, my best friend Rose, and I feel like somebody else might be toying with it. Alexis is starting to get into it. Shout out to Alexis. She just got engaged a few months ago. So excited.
I take a sip of champagne, but I got the kids bottle. So we'll grab the tequila here in a second. Yeah, she's a fave. Okay. Two people you're grateful for.
I mean, this is going to be like, I feel like this entire podcast, there's a whole through line. So it's all going to be very repetitive, but my mom all day, like my mom took care of me after I had my surgery. Like any party I have, my mom is always there to help, like as you saw at my party, she was like helping me prep and then like break down and everything. Yeah. And she's just a wonderful human being to be around. Like she's very supportive. She's fun. So, and I've told her, but I tell people all the time, like it's one blessing to have a mom in your life, because I know that there are a lot of people who don't, or like they might have a strained relationship, but it's a very like big blessing to me that I'm experiencing my mom become my friend.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people really don't experience that either. So I think that's like very cool and very special that I get to experience that in my life.
Yeah.
And another through line, my therapist, shout out to Randy, you know, helped me change my life. And, you know, like, yeah, he's just like an avuncular feeling that a type of person who just, you know, gives it to me straight. And like, yeah, he's just like a cool human being, man. And just, once again, just changing my life, full 180.
I love it. Well, my first one is Ashley's therapist, Randy.
Yes. I'm going to send him this episode. He's going to laugh.
Randy, shout out. I don't even know that I ever knew his name, but
yeah, I've actually told him about you and he laughs. He's like, oh yeah. Cause I'm like, yeah, like, you know, Kristen says, hey, and we're going to send you something.
Seriously. I think literally at cast 1, I was like, I owe your therapist money. So like, tell me his Venmo so I can send him like at least a value meal at McDonald's or something. But well, you know me, I had to put number 1, my dogs.
My babies, my nieces and nephew.
Today I actually posted a picture of Colette and I, and shout out to Becky, my photographer that, I can't even claim her, a fabulous photographer. And she stems from one of my longtime friends, Lynn, that I knew from Denver Sports Recovery. And she's now an entrepreneur and they're recently engaged. They're so awesome, but she captured so many beautiful moments of my pops and I. But when I was looking at the picture, it's like physically, I can feel the joy in my heart.
I can feel like that is the biggest dog smile I've ever seen. But you know, Colette is known for always having a smile on her face, but that was the absolute perfect, like the essence of Colette is that picture.
Oh my, they make my heart
full of energy.
She loves the camera too. They were all running away.
Looked at. Okay. Good God.
Dude, it's Cleo's just her own thing, but she just needs paid invoices for her appearances.
Yeah, Cleo's a vibe. Okay.
Colette, she loved the camera so much. But no, the daily joy it's just so awesome. Like I know people are people, but man, if you don't have a pet or a dog or a niece, little, like wait, is little a boy or a girl?
Little is a girl.
Okay, I thought so. Little is her dog. Sometimes I forget
my sister's dog, Little. Shout out to her. My baby, my pseudo baby. She be acting like I'm her mom whenever I come through. My sister gets so mad. It's so funny.
As most babies do, I feel like. But that's a thing. But anyways, they just bring so much joy and they're a huge part of my daily. So I'm eternally grateful for them. And I do talk to them like humans. And I do take their advice. Like I always say Cleo's the woman I want to be. But there's little pieces in their behavior that truthfully, like I try and think about being like, Colette, every day is the best day with Colette. Coda doesn't give an F. He's going to have fun. Like he's just pure joy.
Live his life.
Boundaries aren't real with him. Like Coda.
What are those?
Yeah. Cleo is boundaries are real. Like when Cleo's done, your girl is done.
And she's the judgy eyes, man. There are days like she makes me step back and be like, should I do this? Or is Cleo going to like give me the side eye?
Point of rationale.
She makes you think.
Yeah, she would not have charged the capital in case you're wondering. She wouldn't have done it, even if she was in the group. Now my second one is my parents. Again, I'll vulnerably say we are in like major transition point. I think in all the best ways with my whole family, and it's good. But there's so many things as I get older, that we unpack some stuff because they were learning in this process. As if we became parents tomorrow, we would be too. But there's so many things that I know are genuine hearted and like it was just the best that they can and it's continuing to be the best that they can. And like you said, kind of being on that friend side it's pretty awesome. And like your blood, there is just some stuff you can't deny that's the same for better or worse. And there is like an understanding there. So and that can be, family is so hard and so complicated and almost tragic in the most beautiful way possible. Yeah. Because you are so similar in unknowing spaces. So it's just kind of like this continued evolving understanding and working through it. But yeah, your blood's your blood and it's, you got to have boundaries at time, but God, there's just so much good commonality that just runs deep. So have to get the nod there.
I love it.
We're jumping in to 2022. Are we ready?
Yes. So excited.
We got to go. My computer's at 37%. Okay. And my champagne's gone, but you know how we do.
I just finished mine off.
Oh, good. Okay. So 2022, let's start out power word. What is your word of 2022?
So my word of 2022 is settled.
Ooh,
So
okay.
the reason I say this is because like, I previously said I started therapy in like May of 2020 and have been doing started meditating and doing all kinds of things to like just really be intense on my personal growth. I realized in some reflection towards the end of the year that I've been running and just being like, I gotta grow instead of being like, no, like sit down and take stock of what you've done and enjoy the growth that you have made. You don't always have to be chasing after some new growth. Like I've done a lot. I've changed a lot. So I need to just sit down and enjoy what it's like to be me in this new me. So that's what settled means for me.
Ooh, I really like that. Mine is courage. I gave that away in the 30 seconds of this cast. It's been coming up everywhere. I was in a fortune cookie. It's like been on like 10, like I saw it on like graffitied on a sign. Like it just
all the synchronicities. It's saying something.
Universe has to like literally tattoo it on my eyelid so I can like see it in the morning.
That's to put you in the face with it.
Seriously, Post Malone vibes. But it's been right there. And I know it's like courage. And like I've had this recurring theme of being seen, but I really like what you just said. And I'm going to take hold of that because I think we have had this conversation of what can we do more? We're in there like this and like, and it's like, we want to get to this next phase, but also like, let's just really enjoy right now, acknowledge the work and like, maybe not try and be in go mode for right now. Like, let's just marinate for a second.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? I like that. Instead of settled, I'm saying marinate.
Oh,
that's what I'm doing this year. I'm marinating.
Perfect. I did a turmeric and tequila marinate over the holiday as a gift. So maybe that can be like, I can do that. We can mass produce it and have like the backstory of like marinate your meat, but also just marinate in your life for a second.
Okay.
2 things I hope for in 2022 and what am I doing to make them happen?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I feel like I've already been like putting things into motion. So I will say something that I started last year, but is being finished up this year is one, I've been like, working on my education. So I actually will be finishing a project management certificate this month. And then as of yesterday, I am officially a certified Scrum Master. So
okay, wait, what does that mean?
So so there's like different parts of project management depending on what your project needs. So like waterfall, like I want to build a house. It's going to take a lot of different steps that depend on each other, but you can't necessarily do them at the same time. And then there's agile. Like if you work in the tech industry like I do, there's a lot of like moving parts because you want to just deliver value like way quicker. And so I will be working on a team to make sure that they deliver value very, very quick. Like you just go through continuous loops of iterations of like delivering a product as quickly as you can, but with like high value. So I'll be like the coach, if you will. That's what a Scrum Master does. Make sure that the project gets from start to finish, but really quickly.
Okay, resume on LinkedIn about to get upgraded.
Girl, that certification went up yesterday.
Yes, I love it. Okay, I got to learn something there. Perfect.
Yeah. So, and like you use project management in your everyday life. So, like from planning a party to like anything that involves you taking steps and like thinking through them critically. Yeah. That's what project management is. Everybody is in some sort of form or fashion, but because I love to throw parties and do all kinds of things.
You've done all this.
It's who I am. So that's why I thoroughly enjoy learning about these things.
I mean, could you have just streamlined the whole course and just taken the test? Like,
girl, with the project management one, I was like, oh, this is what you call it? Like, I've known how to do all of these things, but I've never had the technical terms. I'm like, oh, you call it that? That's cool. Been doing that for years.
I call that story, Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah. And then my second thing is, my ducks have already been in a row. So there's not really like, what am I doing to make it happen right now? But it's just more of like, I'm waiting on one thing to resolve itself. But closing on a property, I'm trying to be a homeowner.
That's what's
necessarily like a home. I don't want a fence and yard and all that shit.
I got you.
Like townhouse, condo, Okay.
This is big. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll definitely unpack that later.
Yeah.
Ashley and Paula are coming over to my house later. So we're going to continue this unrecordedly. You know this. Those are big things.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are like, things that I started last year, but I know they will finish this year.
Yeah. And that's what I like about the non-resolution is there's not necessarily always this hard timeline, because timelines are important in accountability, but also some things do take a lot more time than a year. Or you got to just like keep saying it. So if it's not done in a certain amount of time, like breathe it out, keep going, keep showing up.
It's okay. Especially like with buying something like,
and right now, like in Colorado,
please take. So I'm like, whatever, give it to God. I'm just here. When it happens, it happens. But all my ducks in a row, just waiting on one thing to resolve itself. And then boom, another excuse to have another party. Let's go.
Well, you know, I'm ready. Tell your mom to get out her varsity, like tri-tiered
the
heat
nice
pan.
Things. Okay. And please, and if anything, I'll be like, can you just buy me one of those, please?
Well, you'll have space to store it now. I think my first conversation walking to your party was around the freaking heat dish. I'm like, that's when you know I'm getting old. So I'm like, this is such a varsity platter.
Who has a crock pot? Fabulous.
Oh my God.
Fabulous.
I'm working on upgrading. That did not make my two things I hoped for, but that can be number 3. Number 1, I said love. And I talk a lot about like open mind, open heart, but it's about relationship. But I said love, self, someone else, pets, friends, continuous self-improvement, and high vibes, focus, open heart, open mind. This is, it's more just like in this like love, feminine space in the world. Because my heart truthfully is super sensitive, super feminine. Absolutely my tequila side, fitness, masculine. I am so in it to be the leader there. But then, you know, this turmeric side will say is feminine love, the softer side, just kind of letting that exist in the world.
And don't play yourself. You are very feminine. You're the only friend that I know that still wears heels. Okay.
Really? Well, wedges, but yes.
A heel's a heel.
Okay. Well,
especially after 2020, a lot of my friends are like, I can't do it.
Oh no, we're definitely here for the heels, and we'll have some red bombs.
I'm saying that's very feminine of you.
Okay. No, there's absolutely, there's not no femininity. I think that is just falling back to my masculine side, kind of to go back to we talked initially of like, you have to do it on your own. You have to get, you know, the survival mode, put it together. And people always think masculine men, feminine women. It's more just like in general, the energies of not like your male, female self. It's just like this, take care of everything.
The energy.
Yeah.
It's not gender specific. It's like, what kind of energy are you putting out there?
Totally. Allowing help, support, being taken care of. These things.
Girl, yes. Don't get to talking to me about being taken care of. You spoke to me on that one. And that was something that I learned last year too, like being taken care of. That's a thing.
It's hard. That's hard. It's really, it's hard. It's hard,
especially when you're used to doing things for yourself. Like, oh my God.
All the things. And when a top core value is independence. So no shade to independence or doing things yourself. It's allowing in some of that taking care of, like, let me pay for dinner. Let me get the door. Let me buy you a house in Evergreen. I do want to buy my own house. Let me be very clear. Hey, but they can buy one too.
I mean, as long as your house is on the deed, I'm just doing it all. I don't care how it gets bought.
You know that
put my name on that deed now.
The business will always be handled.
Okay.
I wish somebody in one of our families was a lawyer, because we need that. A lawyer and a doctor. So if you could have one of those, I'd appreciate it.
Right. I'll reach out.
And just like the high vibes, because again, like kind of like going to your party, it's like-minded, mission-driven, good ass humans.
Yeah,
I think the personal responsibility to keeping your vibes high, keep you in those environments, and then appreciating it. Like recognize when you're in a varsity situation, and that's why I love my fitness humans, entrepreneurs. Like you recognize it and you see it, and it's a blessing to be in the existence of people that are in pursuit of their mission.
Yeah. One thing that I'll add on to that I like say to myself daily is bring your best self. And so that's something like, there's this guy named Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's like very into like demystifying, you know, what people think is mystical. So like meditation and, you know, like the law of attraction and all of that stuff. Like he actually like makes it scientific with your brain. But he always encourages people to bring your best self. So that's high vibes. Like you're in love, gratitude, you know, just like that's the energy you're bringing. And if you're not in that, excuse yourself, take a minute. When you're ready to come back, then you're bringing your best self. So that's something that I'm very into and that I always remind myself of daily.
Love it. And that boundary of taking a break is okay.
Yeah.
Because it's ebbs and
it's
flows.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll need to take a break multiple times a day, but you know, I will always bring my best self. That's one thing that I will always say to myself, like, even if I need to take like some space, I can always bounce back.
I think you are good about that. I will say. I think I'll show up to stuff like super chaotic and then I'll calm down. But like sometimes it's just like, you don't need to go to this part. You just take a minute.
This isn't it right now, but I will be back.
Yeah. 10 minutes in a tequila shot. We good.
Right.
My second one was monetized podcast and ambassador course and deep financial security. I've never really been a money driven person. I'm here for nice things, but I've always been obsessed with my free time, my independence, like not being controlled. Now we're shifting the mindset to abundance of love, abundance of money, abundance of just having a massive nest egg. Kind of inspired by 2020 and 2021 of like, we all know what's going on with the world. You better have a big old Nike shoebox of C notes under the bed because you don't know what's going to be happening. So there's that evergreen house and then a big old Costco safe in the bottom with gold bars.
I support it.
Yeah. If you want to sponsor Turmeric and Tequila, email me.
Yes. We'll get that rolling.
Yes. Seriously, it's out there. 2 points of personal growth I'm aiming for and how will I achieve them?
So this goes back to like what, like, you know, my original word, like my word for 2022 is. So I only have 1 point for that, but it's just literally just marinate. I'm just going to marinate in and enjoy the growth that I made in 2020 and 2021. So, and I've made a lot of growth. I just need to sit down and enjoy it and be at peace and see what comes my way.
Agree. It's kind of nice when you get to a spot where you can do less. That's hard for me to sit and marinate in that, but is conscious. So I echo your statements there. It's hard, but also it's kind of like, it's a really cool achievement to just be like, I did the work. I'm good now. Yeah.
Yeah. And to like be self-aware enough to be like, okay, now you're doing too much. Like you're not like one thing that I put on my board is like, live in the moment, you know, like you don't want to be so obsessed with personal growth that you're not living in the moment. Like I need to sit down, live in the moment, take it all in and see how I can enjoy life because I am going to enjoy it different because I am different. So I'm excited to see how that manifests itself.
Boom. Me too. At your condo party.
Okay.
So mine are just like you. It's kind of one, better at boundaries and grace, awareness and action, letting go of energy drains, awareness and personal self-growth, a coach. So this is my brain paraphrasing, you know how it works. But really just kind of like further embracing where I'm at, not needing to do more, executing my communication gracefully, which will always be a
I'm always
curve.
working on that.
Yes. Everybody is. I mean,
my tone can be a little crazy.
That's when you walk in the other room and take a breath and text if you have to from the other room versus speaking if need be. But yeah, I think that it's just that self-awareness and then fostering in the coach where needed, therapist, coach, whatever that can kind of help you organize your thoughts and just stay in it. So those boundaries. Moving forward, allowing myself, did I do 3 here? I lied. I did 3. Allowing myself to be, I did do 3 here. Allowing myself to be further seen, not compartmentalizing, podcast re-enter every year. We actually did talk about this and this is coming from my coaching sessions with my friend Jess. I do have like fitness version, podcasting version, and not intentionally like, here's how I want to show up. It's more just, that's, you know, like when you're an athlete, like you show up, I have a different mode. I want to say this is a very reaching comparison, but like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce, she has 2 different modes. So in my very reaching heart, that's kind of how I compare it is like, there's like game time mode, there's business mode, whatever. And so I'm working now to kind of combine those things and let all the angles be seen. And we had talked about like reintroducing yourself, like in relationships. I'd heard this from Pastor Todd from Transformational Church, like reintroduce yourself every 5 years to your partner. I'm going to try every year to reintroduce myself on the podcast. Because as you said, we do work, we have self-growth, or maybe some years it might even be a step back of like, I had a really year I digress because shit happened and, you know, we got to take a step forward now. So really, I think just being more transparent and kind of letting it all be seen in one place. And that's going to be hard for me, but we're here.
Yeah. Well, and just to point out, like, or call out, like, that's completely normal. Everybody is different in every different aspect of their life. So Ashley at work is not how Ashley is on the podcast per se. You might get you might get a couple of things here and there.
I hope
like,
it is.
I'm not like a completely different human. Like I'm still myself, but like there's some variances that go within every aspect of your life. So it's completely normal. And hey, shout out to you for wanting to like blend it all in. And the fact that like, you're showing people like, yeah, you can, be your whole self in all aspects, and I'm doing it. This is how.
Yeah. But I think, even if you're more vulnerable, like with your work crew, or we've got to meet some of your work friends that are awesome. Like sometimes like I don't let down those walls, or I don't think a lot of people do, because you're not really, it's like professional as this, and you wear your suit and tie, But I don't think that really is beneficial to us in 2022. Like I think you can humanize the brand, which I ironically talk about all the time in the business space, to carry that over into like all arenas. I think there's advantages there.
And I feel like the workspace is shifting that way. Facts. I mean, for God's sakes, we're all working from home these days. So society has had no choice. So I think the shift is happening sooner than we thought.
That's what's up. And we all follow each other on Instagram. So okay, going forward, 2 ways I will be kind to myself this year. What's up?
I want to continue to travel as safely as possible once Omarion stops dancing around on us and shit. I 1000% want to go back out and travel. And me, I love me a good Caribbean beach. So if I can go back, anywhere in that area and just walk on the beach and just anytime I hear the ocean, it's like automatically calming and peaceful for me. So just to be able to do stuff like that. I know that one of my cousins is turning 21 later this year. So hopefully cruise lines will be safe, because that's what she's going to do for her birthday. So let us pray for that, because I would love to go. It's going to sail out of New Orleans. So that's going to be a wild, fun, good old time. I
hope you don't miss the boat.
Girl, look, I'm be rounding up my cousins like, are you? Oh my God. I'm be like taking roll.
Yeah, that is the most. I'm here to hear that entire story. Yes. Oh, I love all this. We're going to just podcast about that as soon as you return.
Yeah. So like continue to travel as safely as possible, and then make sure I don't overwork myself. So once again, like never, ever reaching burnout again, and just like finding balance, just finding like a good balance. Cause like I don't just work a corporate job. Like I'm also an esthetician. I also, sell things on that. Like it's a entrepreneur whole thing. It's a whole thing. So, just finding balance and not overworking myself, like just chill out. It's going to be okay.
Dude, straight up, mine are semi number 1, rest in capital letters, mentally and physically.
Yes.
taking a breather, pulling back. And number 2 is truth. Be present and honest about things I want to do and don't want to do. Not people please. So we see a running theme here, obviously.
Yes.
But it's not like this hard, I hate you. It's more just like, it's not about you. It's me. I'm just take a breather, pull back, relax, or I got to go hard and focus.
Your self-love. This is like where your self-love is coming. You love yourself so much that you have boundaries.
Yes.
You don't let people walk all over you, and not that like people are even doing it maliciously. Like people can like non-maliciously walk over you because you don't have boundaries for yourself. It's a personal thing. It's not about you.
So 2022, I've been working with my friend Jess, who's my coach, and literally we've known each other since kindergarten, which is hilarious. But I told her to watch Being Serena. If you haven't, I've not watched it, watch it, especially if you're, oh my God, if you're an athlete, and King Richard, both of them are phenomenal. But so I can't imagine the pressures that she has getting older as an athlete, which I've experienced myself, clearly not on that level, but then getting married and having a kid. And now she's trying to get back into being the best in the world. And it's a space that, I mean, it's the 0.00000% that are that phenomenal at what they do. It's remarkable.
Yes.
But it's good for me because as I compare myself to Beyonce and Serena, and this is my mindset, y'all.
As you should.
It's going to be a big 2022. I know. But just like she has to, her coach is like, no more breastfeeding. It's tapping your energy. And no more, I mean, she grabs her kid, leaves her husband and goes to France and trains for 2 months because she has to have such a hard boundary and sacrifice to get to what she wants. And for some reason, just seeing that spoke to me because I think 2022 is going to be about sacrifice and dialing in and really focusing on myself and my pursuits. And I hope that if you're hearing this and it resonates with you, and it's okay to not show up to family functions, to not do everything you're supposed to do because you're doing something
you think you're supposed to do.
Yes. Thank you. Because you are selfishly in all the best ways committing to your goal and to what you want because now's the time. And that's
absolutely. don't waste any. And like, if one thing, time, like things will tell you, like people passing away, people losing their lives in any type of form or fashion, may it be to this like virus that's going around, or like people dying tragically, or people dying naturally. I mean, rest in peace, Betty White. Like our time is limited.
Yes.
Don't fool yourself. Like whatever you're trying to do it now. And if that requires you focusing on yourself, you need to do that. And the people who support you and they love you dearly, they will support you through this time. And people who don't, maybe you just need a little space and y'all come back later. And if you don't, that's okay too.
Well, maybe even them seeing you do that will inspire them to do so.
Always leading by example. Always leading by example. So...
And if we're happier, then everyone else is happier. Personal responsibility, you already know.
Amen.
Okay. This is big now. 2 goals or intentions for 2022.
My favorite part.
Yeah.
So my first goal intention is to continue to intentionally date. So I feel like I've been doing a good job with that.
I think so too. I give you a gold star here, 100%.
Thank you. Because, like going back to therapy, like opening my heart and being able to like actually like delve deep with somebody and honestly take a risk. Like, hopefully this works out. And even if it doesn't work out, like, okay, like, once again, we talked about like, things being black or white, like, oh, like this didn't work out, so I'm starting all over again. No, you're not starting all over again. There's a lot of things that you learned. There's a lot of things that you really enjoyed and that you can be thankful and grateful for. And there's a lot of things that you can look forward to. Like where I'm at in my life, I'm like, okay, cool. Like the people that I keep coming across or that they've been building on top of each other. So every time I date a new person, I'm like, oh, I'm getting really close because I really like you. Okay, cool. I'm into this.
Yes.
Yay. So like just continuing to intentionally date until it turns into marriage. So I'm really excited about that. And continuing to meditate / visualize, because that has been what has been really like helping me guide and drive my life so I can live the life that I want exactly, not just like taking things as they're thrown at me. Like, no, like I want that. How do I get there? Let's break it down and move towards that goal.
Yes. And I do think seeing is believing. Like you have to consciously do that.
You have to see it.
Abundance is real. If someone else is getting it, might as well be you.
Okay. And like once people get to the whole concept of like their scarcity is like not really a thing. It'll be a great day for everybody.
I'm with both of those. Okay. So mine are running theme because this is how we roll. It's brand on brand on brand. Being seen, sharing my experience and the mess along with the reality, along with really highlighting the success and knowledge. And number 2 is abundance, love, money, time, health, energy. So both of those things, I think I've done an okay job, I think, on the podcast sharing like the mess and the hard and the growth points, but I haven't done a super strong job of like success and like things that have happened. While I'm confident, I don't know. Sharing the successes is a little bit weird. And like sometimes, when someone listens to the cast, it's the first time they ever heard it. So you've never really provided your ethos of why they even should be listening. So I have to get better at that. But really, again, just kind of combining all the versions, putting it together, letting it all be seen, and then opening everything to that love, abundance, everything that you kind of wanted. Almost like similar to what you're saying is
we'll be doing the same things this year. And I'm so excited.
Dude, but real talk, this is so cheesy, but like to have a teammate in the game and like understanding, be able to like bounce off like our ideas of Beyonce, Serena, House in the Woods, $1 million. Like, are you in it?
Yeah. And totally not to feel like you're crazy. Like, no, like this. Oh, you're doing this too. Cool. Okay. Let's do it together. And then that's how accountability partners are born.
So if you don't have one out there, your goal needs to be get your squad, get your humans, get your team, get your rally support.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. So any tracking tools or points of accountability? I think this is kind of big. I don't like stuff like this because that's not my personality, but it's a vibe. What are you using?
I mean, I'm the same as you. I don't like being like, get about my business. I got this. But I will say like, from like a health standpoint, like me and my mom have been accountability partners. So she'll be like, what'd you eat today? Or, like, oh, I got in the treadmill or whatever. So we do that. And then from, mental health, visualization and meditation, I have the Calm app. And then I actually just downloaded this app called the Envision app, and it helps you like kind of hone your visualization practice.
Ooh,
so it helps you like get into the practice and like what you can be doing, and like they approach it from a really scientific standpoint. So it's really cool. I'll show you later.
You already know I'm gonna ask. Yeah, we're gonna have a full interview on that.
It's
I
super,
can't wait to hear.
You get to set your intention. It leads you through like a guided visualization and explains it to you from like a scientific standpoint. It's pretty dope so far. Like I'm on day 5 and I like it.
This is the upside to like social media apps, iPhones. So like this is cool. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Mine's similar to you. Daily routine, headspace, meditation, and then journal. I'm thinking I just got on Sugar WOD, which is like a thing that tracks your workouts. I haven't done it forever because everything I've done, this is going to be so immature to say, but it'll never be as strong as I was because I was training on a different level. So I haven't really tracked it and I kind of know where I'm at, but we're going to put pen to paper or finger to cell phone screen and track that, which I don't love, but we're going to do it. And I used an Oura ring, which is kind of like a Whoop or any sort of these like body trackers.
I keep seeing that all over television.
Yeah. Well, now we talk about
watch TV like that.
It's going to pop on your
everywhere.
Phone. Yeah, it's everywhere. And that's a whole podcast on what's better. I've worked with several of those companies and they're not super ideal, honestly, but if you can do it for long enough, you can get a base point and measure. But it's more just a mindset of kind of checking in and something's holding you accountable. So I might do that, but that's kind of mostly just my morning routine. Okay. So this is the fun part right here, I think, but it's statements. I just want to read them without like kind of talking around it. Let's read it. And then let's say, so go to like from I believe to I am, and then we'll do our mission statements at the end. But I just want you to kind of like read them. I just got warning. My battery is actually getting low too, but just read them and just let them resonate. And then I'll read mine and then we'll each read our mission statements.
Okay. So statements. So I believe anything I desire is possible. I will achieve my 2022 goals. I see myself as very accomplished. I choose to be peaceful. I am worthy of love. And I am rare.
Ooh. I know you come through. So much to commentate, but I'm going to leave it. I believe I am right on time to show up now and be of use. I will achieve uniting mission-driven humans, spreading the gospel of personal responsibility, thus uniting over common ground to achieve high goals. I see myself as a leader. I choose to be me. I am worthy of abundance. I am Kristen M. Olsen, and I am right on time.
Yes.
All right.
Seriously, this is so cool. Like, I love how, of course I've loved our year in reviews that we've done before, but I really think that this is going to resonate people and just kind of give us all a hard reset. Be kind to ourselves and like go into 2022 with like a different mindset.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, I love hearing yours. And I think our answers are so us.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny because they're like so different, but it's like, of course she
like,
said that.
Like, hello, I'm me. Yeah.
All right. What's your mission statement? This I'm really curious on.
My mission statement: settle into who you have become. You've already done the work and live in the moment.
Woo. Okay.
Yeah.
My mission in 2022 is to unite mission-driven humans seeking purpose in their personal and professional pursuits, collectively elevating the vibration of this world and humanity as a whole.
Snaps.
Thank you. I actually think I'm going to put that somewhere on my business site because that just came through.
No, you need to like hang that on a wall somewhere.
Yeah.
Like not even like try to like be funny or anything. That was like what Miss America should like want to say and actually do.
Is there a Miss Tequila? Because I'm going to keep this.
Oh my God. Okay. Somewhere. Don't stop. Like, look, we can make that happen.
I know.
We can make a Miss Tequila now.
2 entrepreneurs and a bottle of tequila. What can you do?
Look, I mean, you have a new certified project manager on your hands.
That's true. So I gotta raise the level. I love it. No, I love both of our statements. I think, it's if you listen to this whole conversation again, I think there's such running themes in what we're saying. So it'll be such a cool accountability point throughout the year if we check back in, or even just having like not checking it all, have the mindset and then listen to it a year later.
Yes. And that's why I'm excited about this because, once you share this, this doc, or however you want to share it with like your listeners, we should do this every year and then look back on what our answers were every year. Yes, that's going to be so dope.
I'm so happy that I was, this is vulnerable space, even because I didn't know. I'm like, well, she thinks this is dumb. I know you wouldn't think it's dumb because I know we think similarly, but if it's like, what's my goal, or I am, it's like, okay, like, I don't know. So I'm just really glad.
Who are feeling that way, that's okay if you feel that way. Yeah. And now they know like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. Maybe I might want to dip my toe in.
Yeah. We'll see.
Because we're doing it. We're leading by example. Like, hey, it's not that bad. Hey, that's like, what's up. You actually might change if you do it.
I'm literally at 0%. So I think universe is shutting this off, but I'll see you in 10 minutes. I appreciate you. As you know, truthfully, this wasn't on my list, but I'm so thankful for our friendship. We got to become friends as adults. We say it all the time. It's still not enough. I appreciate you. I appreciate Randy. I appreciate your mom. I'm so excited we get to like level up and then like experience this world as a crew.
Yeah. Together. Yeah. And same here. So thankful and grateful for our friendship. Love you. Love your family. Love everybody that's in the crew. And happy to be going on this journey. Thank you for having me again. Can't wait to do this soon.
Let's go 2022. And you already hear the dogs are ready for you.
Tell them I'll see them in a little bit.
All right. Tune in. I will have this sheet. I will put, Ashley, do you want to share where people can find you?
On Instagram, you can find me at the Ashley Simone.
Boom. Check her out. And check out her entrepreneurial set. I'll have all the tags. You already know it's been on 50 of our shows, but appreciate the time and energy. Let's go 2022. I'll have the doc up. I hope you join us in setting your intentions for this new year, and let's get some good vibes going.
Yeah, let's get after it.
Amen. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.